Well, in Israel today, anguish and anger. Families of Israeli hostages sounded a siren outside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home in Jerusalem. They are pushing for a ceasefire deal that would secure their loved ones' release. Well, my next guest, Gershon Baskin, is a peace activist and former hostage negotiator, and he has been preparing and promoting a hostage release plan. He says it lays it out in a letter to Mr. Netanyahu, asking the Israeli Prime Minister to look it over, then forward it to Joe Biden, along with Qatar and Egypt. Quote, "I prepared the letter for you," he tells Mr. Netanyahu. "All you have to do is sign it." Gershon Baskin joining me now. Has he?
No, he hasn't signed it. He has it. He's had it for quite some time. This is a deal that Hamas told me that they agreed to. And I worked at this deal with a number of Israeli generals in order to give it credibility. They went over the text and they helped write the text. And Hamas leadership approved it. And the deal is for 3 weeks to end the war, a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, a return of all 101 hostages, living and dead, civilian and military, in exchange also for the release of a significant number of Palestinian prisoners, which has to be agreed on. And Hamas said they're willing to transfer the governance of Gaza to a civilian, non-Hamas, technocratic government.
Let's be quite clear about this. You say Hamas has agreed to it. Who in Hamas has agreed to this 21-day ceasefire?
Look, everyone knows that I've been talking to Hamas leadership for 18 years. There are about 7 or 8 different people in the Hamas Politburo that I'm in contact with. The longest relationship that I have is with Ghazi Hamad, who's a member of the Shura Council, the leadership, the Politburo, and a member of the Hamas negotiating team. He's one of the 2 Hamas leaders who are from Gaza, who left Gaza before the war and represent Gaza within the negotiating process. And it was Ghazi Hamad that these conversations took place.
So tell me why it is that you believe this has gone nowhere at this point, because we've had this other deal on the table for months now, the Biden/Israel deal, call it what you will. It's a deal that was being thrashed out over, as I say, months and months, and has gone absolutely nowhere.
Right, when I heard President Biden present it at the end of May, I remember my first thought was, this is a bad deal. It was talking about 2 periods of 6 weeks, where President Biden said the ceasefire would continue even if there's no agreement on a ceasefire. Israel immediately responded that they would renew the war after the first 6 weeks, and in the first 6 weeks they would only release 32 of the hostages, which didn't make sense to me. So I was approached by some of the hostage families, and I approached Hamas and I said, are you willing to make a deal that ends the war in a short period of time, 3 weeks, and you release all the hostages? And they, after several days, came back to me and said yes. Why isn't it moving forward? I think that the United States is very invested in the deal that they've been negotiating now for about 4 months of trying to make it work. It's being negotiated at the level of the head of the CIA, Bill Burns, and Brett McGurk, the special envoy of President Biden. I think it's very difficult for them to detach themselves from something they've been so engaged in for so long and pick up something else that might actually work. But I don't think they have the choice, because I think the person they're working for, President Biden, who's coming to the end of the term, has to understand that this is a legacy issue for him. The question is Biden going to be remembered as the Gaza war president, or the president who ended the war in Gaza and brought the hostages home? This is really on the desk of President Biden now, because the United States has enormous leverage over Israel.
Does it?
It does.
Still?
I made a list of 15 different things that the United States could do. If it's only done behind closed doors, then it's perhaps limited, because Netanyahu can do whatever he wants. If he goes public and says, these are the things that we are doing now, and we're considering reassessing our relationship with the state of Israel, this becomes public. And it's the citizens of Israel who are the sovereign, not Mr. Netanyahu.
Interestingly enough, we have heard about a 21-day ceasefire deal for Lebanon and Israel, or Hezbollah and Israel. And the foreign minister of Lebanon telling my colleague Christian Amanpour that Hezbollah had signed up to that. But that went nowhere. This was a deal, of course, which is US-French-led. Where does this go from here on in? Can you decouple what is going on the northern front for Israel with Hezbollah from what is going on in Gaza?
It's very difficult to decouple it, primarily because Israel believes they're winning in Lebanon right now. They made a strategic change with the assassination of Nasrallah and the leadership of Hezbollah. Hezbollah is weaker now. The Israeli army is empowered and think that maybe there are military solutions to problems that there are no military solutions for. With regard to Gaza and the Palestinian issue, there is no military solution. There's only a political solution. And here's where we need the American pressure, because the United States needs this war to end. It's been fueling the war for too long. It's certainly not helping Kamala Harris in her campaign, and I think that President Biden understands it. Whoever becomes the next president doesn't want this Gaza war on their agenda, on their plate when they enter the White House. There are other problems to deal with. And too many people have been killed. Too much suffering has happened. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is almost without comparison to anything in the last 20 years. We have a responsibility, the international community has a responsibility to make this war end. We have to resolve the hostage issue, and Hamas seems ready. And all I'm saying is, don't believe me. I'm no one. I'm not a representative of Israel. I'm not a representative of Hamas. The people in charge need to verify this with the government of Qatar, with the government of Egypt, with the Egyptian intelligence. They need to go back to Hamas and say, do you support this deal for 3 weeks? And once they hear yes from them officially, and it's officially on the plates of everyone, then it needs to happen.
The longer this goes on, the closer to the brink, or perhaps we are over that brink now, this wider region gets, correct?
We certainly are. I think that the Israeli restraint so far with regard to Iran is maybe a result of the fact that there were no human casualties in the Iranian attack against Israel, which leaves Israel with wider strategic options in determining how to hit Iran back. And if the Israelis are smart, they will pick a significant symbolic target to say, we responded, we have to respond because we were attacked with ballistic missiles, but they can avoid escalation. This is if our government is smart, and we know our government often is not smart.